and welcome to the Sherin Show. Thanks so much for being with us. This is where we talk about all things mind, body, spirit, and relationship. So today's a really special day. I'm very excited that you're with us. We have an awesome guest. We're going to have Dr. Ashley and Dr. Michael Arn. I met these two recently. They're a lovely couple. Hello to you two. So just to tell you a little bit about them really fast, they are the founders of crucialhabits.com. And, so just tell us a little bit about what you do with helping people find love.
Well, we help people who are primarily dating or in a relationship. And really we got passionate about that because of our personal life. We're married to each other. And we, are business owners, we have a child,
right.
So we sort of understand how juggling all these different things is difficult for people.
Right.
So that's really why we're so passionate about it, is how do you have a career, how do you have a purpose in life, how do you have all these interests and still have a partner, a marriage that works?
A thriving relationship.
Yeah. Well, and in addition to all of our education and training, when we were first together, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out why things were working for us. Kind of in a profession where things aren't working for most people and they're coming to us for help, we were taking little bits and pieces of information from every client that we spoke with in combination with all of our education and training and our own relationship, and really kind of pinpointing some strategies that were working for us and making it easy for us to have our career and be successful in our relationship as well.
That's awesome. So is that pretty much what sparked this whole thing for you guys, is having that experience yourselves and then kind of wanting to share the wealth with people?
Yeah, I just think it's, for us it's been so rewarding to have a career, to have a child, to have a happy marriage, and it's just, when those things are going well, things feel pretty great. So.
And they do look happy.
And when it comes to being in a relationship, I feel like one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about helping other people is because I really want to, I know how it has empowered me and inspired me in our career to take risks, to push myself outside of my comfort zone, and knowing that Michael always has my back and that he's going to be there to support me.
Right.
That's really put me in the position of being willing to take risks and grow and push myself in my career and just in other areas of my life.
As a parent, as all kinds of areas.
And I want to help other people be able to have that awesome experience and to think outside of the box and not just, imagine that their life has to be a certain way and they can't do anything other than that.
Yeah. So that's such an interesting point, because I know, a lot of personal development helps people think outside the box and create the life of their dreams and all that fun stuff. But throwing you guys in the mix, it's like you're not only saying, think outside the box and live the life of your dreams, but you're also saying partner with someone who's that way to exponentially enhance how beautiful your life would be going down that path. So tell me, what would happen if, let's say, I was someone who was thinking outside the box and I was creating the life of my dreams, and then I ended up marrying someone or dating someone that was not that way? What do you guys see as like a problem or maybe even a benefit to that?
Well, it's difficult. If you're not sort of growing together, it can be very difficult for one or both of the people involved. So that's something we help people with. A lot of times individuals come to us and the other partner doesn't want to come.
Right.
So we a lot of times start with one individual, help them a little bit, and then oftentimes the other one wants to come in as well because they're thinking, oh, what are they talking about?
Right.
What's happening? What's going on? So that usually brings in the other person too a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a huge piece of it is also about preventive care. Like, we brush our teeth for a reason.
Right.
You don't just wake up in the morning and not brush your teeth because it's a choice of preventive care, so you don't get gum disease and oral cancer and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, people often make that mistake with their relationships because they feel like, oh, it's not essential, or maybe it's not something that I can see necessarily on a daily basis, and so they don't take action. But it's so much hard, we were talking about this earlier, it's so much harder to undo years of bad habits in your relationship.
Right.
And people talk about, the cost of help or coaching or therapy or whatever it may be. But the reality of it is, if you take action when things are good, you're going to set your relationship up on the right foot.
Right.
And then you save yourself time, money, and an expensive divorce.
Right.
And I think another thing we found too is that there's so much conflicting advice out there.
Right.
That even well-meaning people that are very smart, have all, lots of things going for them, they can get into some bad habits because there's so much conflicting advice.
Yeah.
What do I do here? This person says this other person says this. So
It's like dieting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day
Very
grapefruit
similar.
is great for you, and the next day it's terrible for you.
Right.
I mean, with all of that kind of in the self-help world, it makes it hard to discern what actually might be helpful to you and what won't be.
Yeah.
And what works for one person may or may not work for you as well.
Right.
So
what kind of clients, I mean, like, if there are all different types of people out there, and, maybe one works with a certain type of therapist and one works with another, and one works with a certain type of coach and one works with another, what kind of people do you guys like to work with or tend to attract?
We tend to attract people who are motivated, who basically want to get what they want. And,
Okay.
a lot of our clients, they come to us, and one of the first things that we do is we shift beliefs about the kind of person that you can be with. A lot of people think, like, oh, I'm ugly, so I'm never going to find someone.
Wow.
Or, I don't have enough to offer, so no one, like, the type of person that I want isn't going to be interested in me.
Gotcha.
And that's not true. Sometimes it means that we need to shift the type of person that we're thinking that we want to be with, and sometimes it means that we need to shift our own beliefs about what we're actually bringing to the table.
Right.
And what we can offer. So, it's great when people come to us beforehand and we can talk about their quality of life and the vision that they have for the future, because
Right.
if your vision doesn't align with your partner, then you're both destined for unhappiness.
yeah.
At some point in time, the relationship isn't going to work.
Right.
Unless you can imagine yourselves being together and enjoying the type of life that you both want to live long term.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients too, they have a lot of things going for them, but for some reason they just haven't been able to figure out their love life.
Okay.
So it's not like there's, deep-seated issues or
Right.
they just are trying to figure this area out of their life, and
Right.
maybe they're successful in one thing or another and they can't figure out, well, why isn't this working for me,
So let's say there's a woman, because I've had many clients come to me with this scenario. I'm a woman, I'm really successful, I have, healthy kids, so she's been divorced, and her life is great. But like you just said, she can't figure out the love life portion. She feels like on her super cool like four-wheel drive, one of the wheels is not running because
Yeah.
this portion of her life is off. So for someone like that, what would you say would be like the cause, like what's going on for her that might cause that scenario?
Well, it just depends. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be going on. It could be some kind of hidden, invisible beliefs about herself that may be sabotaging kind of her relationships.
Right.
Like Ashley said, if she feels like, oh, I'm ugly or I'm not good enough, or, and a lot of times those things aren't on the surface. Those are sort of hidden until we find them out.
Right.
It could be maybe she's attracting the wrong type of person for her.
That's what I was going to say. And a lot of people are trying more of the same solutions that aren't working. So, as much as I hate to say it, like, you're not going to find a partner, an ideal partner, sitting on your couch imagining them. It takes a combination of intentional
Right.
action
Right.
and, the belief that you can have what you want in the pursuit of it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people are saying, well, I'm not attracting the right type of guy. And my first question is, well, where are you trying to meet them?
Right.
And I realize that sounds like a ridiculous question, but the more that we talk, then people end up telling me they're going to the same places, they're doing the same things.
Gotcha.
And so when you're doing that, you're likely to continue to attract the same type of person that you're meeting in that environment. And there's so many easy ways to connect with people today.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet has made that amazingly available to us.
Right.
So sometimes it just takes some new strategies and ideas and a fresh perspective. And for a client who's really motivated, I mean, we can work with them in 3 to 6 sessions. Like, it doesn't have to take forever.
Yeah.
If they know kind of what they're looking for and they just need some help getting it.
Yeah. So I love that you said there's some practical, just like simple things they can do to kind of meet different people. So what would some of those be? Would it be like Meetup or Facebook or golfing? Like, is it kind of just like take up new hobbies, or what are the advice you'd give?
Well, step number one is always to consider your future vision.
Okay.
So, like, what are you actually passionate about? And there comes like a fine line between not compromising what's important to you and sharing similar interests with the partner.
Yeah.
And so you do want to have some similarities and some things that you share and you're generally passionate about. And at the same time, certain things that you're not willing to compromise when you are in a relationship.
Okay.
But sometimes simply like getting out of the box that you're in of doing the same things.
Right.
So if you think, for example, that traveling is important to you,
Yeah.
then a meetup is a great idea.
Okay.
But the step that people don't take is they don't think about what type of traveler they are.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, I mean, for example, like there's the type of traveler that schedules something from sunup to sundown
Right.
and wants to visit every tourist attraction and no downtime and no naps and no relaxation.
Right.
That's like the opposite of what we like to do.
We're the opposite type of
But you know,
traveler,
then there's
some
the
people
other,
like that.
and sometimes like we'll go on vacation and we stay in the room half of the time because like it just feels so good to relax. So, you know, thinking about not only like those things that you genuinely like to be involved in, but also what qualities that person has to have.
Right.
And
So I think they actually have someone calling. I don't know if this travel bug has inspired something, but I think it's somebody named Rachel.
Yes.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for calling.
Hi,
You're
Rachel.
very welcome.
Hi, Rachel.
So do you have a question for us today? What's going on with you?
I do. I could talk for a year on the issues, of course, being married for 6 years and now having a 20-month-old.
Awesome.
But I think the big thing is my husband and I, we have gone to therapy back and forth just when things get bad. So I loved your suggestion of going when it's still good
Yeah.
to
Right.
keep us going. But we have very busy life. My husband has a full-time job. He's also going to school working on his master's. I take care of my child full-time as well as try and keep him socialized with play dates.
I can
So-
totally relate to that.
So,
Our son is one.
By the end of it, as he comes running in saying hi. So by the time my husband's home, we're done with dinner, I've got the kid, you know, done with bath and in bed, we're just too stinking tired. Do you have any recommendations on just kind of how to keep us into each other instead of just saying good night?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two strategies that I would suggest, and the first one is to stay connected throughout the day. And when you're busy, that seems hard, right? Are you already thinking, how are we going to do that?
Yes.
Right? Okay, I can totally understand that. Our son is 1 year old, and we both work, and I take care of him, and, you know, all kind of both ways. But so the first strategy that we always recommend is using text messages to your advantage. So that might sound kind of crazy, but if you really think about like what type of text messages you're sending, usually they become very monotonous. Almost everybody uses text messages in some way, shape, or form, but they end up becoming, especially in a situation where you have a family and you have a child, it's about chores and dry
pick up the
cleaning and who's going to
groceries.
get dinner.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's so easy to lose that connection during the day and then to come home and be totally exhausted. So
Yeah.
one thing that we're always suggesting is to change the nature of your conversation through text messages. And to, number one, focus on appreciating each other. So,
Such good advice.
well, for both men and women, like we never get tired of hearing that we're awesome, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
like who doesn't like that?
Especially from our partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so making a conscious effort to connect with our partner emotionally and create that emotional attraction just by doing something as simple as starting out with being appreciative. And I know that it can seem hard initially to even get into that mindset, but really to send a text message takes like a minute. So one thing that is like a place where I always start is Michael always empties the cat box, which is totally disgusting and I hate it. So it may only take him 2 minutes, 3 minutes to do it, but he does it because he loves me. And I always make sure to acknowledge and appreciate that to him through text message. And it never gets old, right, babe?
No, I always love it.
So, I mean, just changing the nature of the conversation in your text messages to be focused on appreciation, and you can take it all different levels, and some of them can be steamy or not, but, you know, using text messages as a way of staying connected or letting the other person know that you're thinking about them, because it's also convenient. So, you know, if he's gone at work, then when he has a moment, he can respond to you. And it's different than, you know, a phone call or something that might take a little bit more time.
Yeah, and he travels a lot, so there are some times that that's all we can do is just text message each other. But it's usually just, hi, going to bed.
Right.
Yeah, well, and that's how most people are. I think most people, hey, what are we going to do with the baby tonight, or what's for dinner, you know. So that's, I think, how most people are, and it's something you can really use to your advantage.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
And there's other ways, I mean, that you can cut out the chore talk, you know, so if you want to keep text messages kind of sacred, you could either use email or something like Voxer, which is like an app that you can download, you know, something that's kind of like a walkie-talkie where you can leave like a little message about chores or whatever, so that you get to anticipate and be excited about like text messages that you're going to send and receive. And if you're building that connection, then when you eventually are together, it's going to be a lot easier to connect physically as well, even if you are tired. It creates that anticipation and that excitement of seeing each other because you feel appreciated and understood. And that can be really hard for both partners in your circumstance where, you know, one is traveling and working. And I totally get that being with a baby all day can be pretty rough.
You know, the other thing we tell people a lot of times is, it's really about the quality of time you spend together more than the quantity. So if you could just spend 1 minute per day at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whenever that is, and really just have each other's full attention for 1 minute per day, that could dramatically shift things. Because most people don't do that at all. So, you know, if you could just spend 1 minute just focusing on each other, appreciating each other,
hugging each other, making out. Well, it's just
very simple. You know, that could very easily shift things.
Okay.
So does that help, Rachel?
That helps actually a lot. If I can get this in writing, so he actually knows that you said this, and I just didn't make it up.
Send us an email, and we'll help you out with that, Rachel.
Yeah, their email actually will be on the screen a little bit later, so look out for that email, and they will help you figure out how to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much
for calling.
Bye.
Bye.
So we actually have another caller, somebody named Stan. Hello, is Stan with us?
Hello. Yes, this is Stan.
Hi, Stan. How's it
Hi,
going?
Stan.
It's going good. I think I might have a somewhat similar issue as the previous caller, but slightly different.
Sure.
I've been in a relationship for 7 years now, and it's not so much that I'll find a way how to do something, but it's more the how to find the motivation to do it. It seems like both sides, you know, I've tried a little bit, you know, and then I'll get out of it, and then she'll try a little bit, but I'm not motivated to, you know, send text or whatever, like you guys were saying before. So I guess my question to you guys is, when it becomes, you know, where it's somewhat mundane, how do you, I guess, light that fire again, so to speak, or how do we get to the point where we're both wanting to find ways to be excited about the relationship?
That was a great question.
That is a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something that happens really often.
Yeah, especially, you know, you get to a certain point, if you're married or in a relationship, you said 7 years?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Right. I mean, so
we all have the same emotional and mental needs that we have to get met in our relationships. And two of them are certainty and simultaneously uncertainty.
or variety.
Yeah. So we have to have the balance of both. So it sounds like you guys are doing really solid on certainty, but uncertainty maybe isn't really happening. And there's a lot of different ways to create that connection, and I understand that sometimes, you know, the idea of just getting started feels like a lot of work. So one thing that usually leads to kind of missing out on uncertainty is we forget to learn about our partner. And we forget to ask about their hopes and dreams and goals, and our conversation just becomes really kind of like, hey, how was your day? Ah, good. How was your day? Ah, good. And then maybe you watch your favorite TV show, or, you know, maybe whatever. You do kind of the same things that you're doing. So you can create some uncertainty simply through conversation, which doesn't have to take a lot of work. It could be just by asking a question. Like, hey, in 5 years, what would you like your life to look like? That's just one question. But that creates an opportunity and an opening for a different experience. You know, if you're looking to do something like physically to create some uncertainty in the relationship, you can always do something like create a new experience, like go to a different place than you normally go to. Like, don't always go to Cheesecake Factory on your date night on Friday nights. You know, make a choice to go somewhere new to share a new experience, or to, vacation is not the answer, but it can be a good, you know, fire starter, night away. So you can either make a choice to have a different conversation or to actually do something different, and that will create some more uncertainty in the relationship.
And Stan, I would say one thing too about the motivation. I think it's a little like working out, where you're never going to have the motivation prior to doing it. You know, you kind of just got to get to the gym, and then the motivation comes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So I think you almost have to, whether you schedule yourself, you know, every morning at 10 a.m., you have a calendar reminder that you're going to text your wife, or, you know, something just to get in the habit of doing it, and then the motivation will come, especially when you see the results from your wife and the feedback you get from her. If you keep doing it, will be the motivating factor. But initially, you have to just start the behavior. So the behavior comes before the motivation, is what I would say.
And people a lot of times will say to us, okay, well, she's going to notice that I'm doing something different. Well, that's good. Like, you want her to notice. And, you know, people say like, oh, well, what if I say the same thing every day? Or like, what if I'm complimenting her in the same way all the time? And from a woman's perspective, I'll tell you, it never gets old. So even at first, if, you know, by making a choice to have a different conversation, you're not necessarily super creative, that's okay. You know, just being willing to do something different will create that emotional connection and that emotional attraction again, which for women is the biggest factor in determining physical attraction as well.
Okay.
Love it. I feel enriched. Stan, do you
if I sum it up, I'll make sure I certainly go to the gym, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for calling. All right, so we don't have a super lot of time left, but you guys are so great with answering the questions to the callers. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I am wondering, so let's say the people who are watching right now and they're wanting a little bit more, what is one simple thing they can do to improve their relationships, whether that's with or without you, but basically how can they do something to help themselves?
The easiest thing that you can start doing today to improve your relationship is to focus on that moment when you reconnect with your partner.
Yeah.
So like whether it's going to work or you've been at home or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But that moment when you get to reconnect for the day or after a trip or whatever it may be, to set the tone and to create an environment that's going to be conducive to feeling connected and attracted to each other. And there's a really simple way to do that. So it feels really good to be the top priority. We all like that. Yes. So, you know, the way to get yourself in that mindset is to first just take a second, close your eyes, and think about, you know, the last time that you came in to connect with your partner and they instantly dropped what they were doing. They came over, they greeted you. I mean, maybe the roles were reversed. I don't know. But when you connected, so they greeted you with attention and maybe no words were spoken. Maybe it was just like a simple hug or a kiss. But you got the message that they were your top priority. And what you want to do is take that feeling, really get it going in your mind so that when you walk in or whatever the circumstances are, to meeting back up with your partner after spending some time apart, that you want to give them that feeling, because relationships are all about reciprocity. The more that we make our partner feel good, the more they're going to want to make us feel good. So if you can make them feel that way, make them feel like the top priority, even if it's just a couple of minutes, 5, whatever, to connect. To some people like to talk after a day, some people don't. Maybe they just want to hug, hold hands, say nothing. It doesn't matter what it is, and you can learn each other as to what feels best to you guys in that moment. But creating that connection instantly dramatically changes the rest of that experience together.
Yeah. The first impression when you come together is huge. Because that, we actually sometimes call it the start your night off right technique.
Which is cheesy, but it's really...
But, I mean, when you come together, if you're both frustrated, the night's not going to probably go so well. But if you can take a few minutes and come together and feel good about each other, that can make things, shift things dramatically. And if anyone would like more help from us, we're going to actually provide you guys with a special offer. So anyone that's watching or listening, we'll give you a free Lasting Love coaching session with us, where we'll help you sort of create an ideal vision of the relationship you want to have. We'll look at, is anything getting in the way of your relationship success, and we'll help you sort of create a plan for going forward.
For how you can have the relationship you want. And that may or may not involve our help, but you know, our goal is just to help you get what you want, because we know relationships are awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. This has been so awesome, really. I'm so excited about you. There's an awesome quote by my favorite band, Mumford & Sons, and it says, "Where you invest your love, you invest your life." And so I really thank you for being here and helping us figure out the love life portion of our life a little bit, because it really does dictate a lot of how we feel and how happy we are. So thank you for watching. I hope you got a lot out of it. Definitely contact them at coaching@crucialhabits.com. And next week, we will be discussing a little bit about sort of the mind, body, and career portion with Chad Nash, who's going to be our guest. And we'll see you next time on The Sherin Show. Oh, good.